I think we are live. Hello and welcome, everybody. This is Ben Chiriboga with Nexl CEO Phil Thurner for another One Firm webinar series. Hi, everybody. We're going to give a couple minutes for everybody to come in. Phil, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks, Ben. I'm really excited to be talking about everything that we've learned at the NPF last week. Was a really good conference. Really loved it. So can't wait to go through everything.
Me too. I am excited. We just got back. We're going to do a poll, or I'm going to ask the audience who's been to NPF. So I'm pretty curious. But as we wait a couple minutes, we're going to give everybody a couple minutes. Good to see everybody. I see some familiar faces already. But yeah, how was it in California? What you think? Good first thoughts. I thought it was nice.
It was really good.
From Chicago.
It was really good. Coming from Sydney, obviously. It went a little bit colder than what it is here, but it was still really good, nice weather. It was just a little bit far, to be honest. I was quite jet lagged the first 2 days, and now I'm still a little bit jet lagged from coming back. But other than that, it was really, really good. It was well worth the trip. Everyone there was amazing. The people attending, the people speaking, it was cool. I loved it. And even the other vendors that were there was awesome. So.
Agreed. Okay, I am going to, let's see, I don't know if I'm still sharing my screen, but we're going to get started. What am I sharing right now? There we go.
Yeah.
Back to my screen? Yes, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
that's well, so cool. It's good to see everybody. That what?
Yeah, the whole background thing and everything and how this works with Teams, it's awesome. Haven't been on a webinar for a while.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I think we're going to give everybody maybe one or two more minutes. We're going to go at 5 minutes past. So let's give everybody one more second. Emma is also joining us today, our event marketing manager. Emma, how are you today? What's going on?
We're good. Just as always, the voice and the great beyond.
Yes, exactly. The Oz on the other side of the screen. Emma is going to be there for background and answering any questions, technical difficulties, and also monitoring the chat. So excited to get everybody's Q&A. We're going to give everybody a couple more minutes, and we're going to go ahead and get started in about 30 seconds. But yeah, you are in the right place, everybody. The legal marketing trends shaping 2023. You are here with Nexl CEO Phil Thurner and the Chief Growth Officer Ben Chiriboga. That's me. There I am. It's part of our One Firm webinar series. One Firm is something that we're really passionate about here at Nexl. I think Phil would agree. Really around bringing the entire firm together to drive growth. Phil, what do you think about One Firm? Does it do you have your tattoo yet, or how important is driving growth
I don't have
One
it.
Firm today?
I'm not inked at all. I'm not inked, so this is not something that I'm going to do. But I am a very, very strong believer. And we see it and hear it more and more and more. Even at the NPF, a lot of people talk about this One Firm culture, really acting as one cohesive kind of team. Which obviously has been traditionally quite difficult with the silos we have seen within law firms as well. Clients are requesting a more cohesive experience across the entire firm, and it really needs this One Firm culture, sharing clients, your relationships, and really collaborating. So we're very, very passionate about it, and we're a big driver for this. So
that is, we're so passionate. We created a hashtag, so I don't know what's more passionate than that. So, yes, but I totally echo you. That's the One Firm and going to market as One Firm is really, really important today. And I think it's because not only is it good for growth and it's good for sustainable growth, which we're going to get into. It's efficient, right? You're getting access to the entire law firm, their relationships, their know-how, their knowledge, but it's also good for the clients. Clients love acting and doing business with One Firm and doing business as a company to another company. So I think
please, Ben, don't forget a really, really important piece, which is really the culture within the law firm. it becomes much, much better for everyone within the firm. You know, it is for the client services teams, obviously, BD, marketing, growth teams, whatever we want to call it, but also for the lawyers themselves. It just creates a much, much nicer environment.
Absolutely, yes. So good for business, good for culture, good for the world. Who knows? Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, you are here with Ben Chiriboga and Philipp Thurner for the next installment of our One Firm webinar series. Today, we are reflecting on the legal marketing trends shaping 2023. And Phil and I just got back from the Marketing Partner Forum, which was in beautiful California, Rancho Palo Verdes, which was an absolute beautiful. So I want to start with actually taking a quick poll. Put it in the chat if you have been to the MPF before, and give us some thoughts. What was your initial reactions? It doesn't matter if you've been there 10 years ago, 5 years ago, last year. I'd love to hear who's been there and what you thought. Phil, again, let us know, what did you think? For high level, whenever you thought about when you thought about the conference and you thought about the conference in the context of 2023, what were your big kind of like takeaways from the conference?
Yeah, first of all, it's, I think, this common agreement across everyone that attends that this is the best marketing BD kind of legal marketing and BD conference in the year. High caliber topics and speakers, but also the attendees are, you know, C-level executives. So it's great. It's great people there. From the conference itself, I think we've identified or kind of realized that there's definitely a lot of growth potential still within the industry. We have not over optimized our go-to-market strategies and are really just on optimization. The last stage is to just squeeze a little bit more out of it. I think we're much, much earlier within the legal industry on our stages to kind of more modernized, more sustainable revenue growth. So there's a lot of growth opportunity, and I'm really, really excited about it.
I agree totally. I think that was a big takeaway for me. Another big takeaway for me, and then we'll jump into the agenda, is just how many passionate people there are within the legal industry about driving growth. I think there was fantastic conversations all around marketing and business development. People are hungry. The revenue operators, as we like to call them, the revenue operators within law firms are really, really very incentivized. They want to drive growth, and they see this as kind of the next opportunity. So it was fantastic to really be around very good people. So that's just a way of saying all of us in legal marketing and business development, great colleagues around there, and I think everybody's really excited for 2023. Those are my takeaways. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to set the agenda for today. We're going to go over three big agenda items here. We're going to go about 35 minutes. If you need to leave early, please go ahead and do so, even though we would love for you to stay. We will be sending the recording after the webinar. Second, just a little admin before I go into the agenda. Emma, our fantastic event marketer, is on the call with us. If you have a question or comment, please go ahead and put it in the chat, and Emma will stop us. And we're also going through a couple minutes at the end for Q&A. So go ahead, but don't be shy. Put your question in there, and Emma will get to it. All right. So the agenda for today, we're going to go over 3 items. The first, the importance of proving ROI to the CFO. And the CFO is really the leadership at the law firm. We are entering what some might describe as a soft business environment. Some might say a recession. I think Phil and I heard that this was a big theme at MPF, and I think it's on everybody's minds. And the CFO in a recession really is driving a lot of the decision making, for better or for worse. It's just a fact here. So we're going to talk about the importance of proving ROI and how you can do that. The second is why marketing needs to deliver more conversions. Another way of saying this is, how does marketing switch its thinking from branding and demand generation and demand creation to demand capture? capture. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. That was a major theme. How do you focus on conversions, driving real opportunities? And then finally, we're going to go into three main growth strategies that marketing teams will use in 2023. So excited on that. Phil, are you excited?
I'm super excited. Just reading that agenda, I was like, hey, this is awesome. This is literally giving everyone a blueprint of what to focus on in 2023, and not just to survive in this soft market and how you called it, but really thrive.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. So that's a perfect segue. Thank you, Phil, to the first point that we want to make, which is framing this up. Now, this is a busy slide here, but what we are showing here is what the last great recession or soft environment looked like, and what the recovery looked like post 2008. I will never forget 2008 because I was a young lawyer trying to get a job, my first job as a lawyer. Thank God that my best friend's dad hired me, and I was able to go into it. But I remember it was pretty tough post 2008. Of course, there was a sharp down, but in the years intervening, many law firms started to do increasingly well. You can actually see here that it looks a little like a K, right? Some firms did incredibly well and actually beat their expectations and grew at 6, 8, 10%. We know some law firms who have just done exceptionally well over the course of the last 20-something years or 15-something years. And then others did not so well. And what we're going to argue here is that generally speaking, the people who and the firms that did very well focused on better marketing, focused on conversions, and did some of the things that we're going to advocate for today. Of course, that's not the total story. We would never suggest that, but in a downturn, it's not a time to pull back. It's just a time to be smarter. And I think that that's something that came across at Marketing Partner Forum as well. Phil, anything on this framing slide that you take away? Whenever I say sort of how you're a CEO of a company, when you think about investing in a recession, what do you generally think about?
Yeah, you do look into, and this is why it's the CFO driver a little bit, into your capital, obviously, and how is it going to work out over the next 6 to 12 months. And in very, very good years, you might have capitalized a little bit too much. And we can see that right now in the tech industry with all these layoffs, where it has been too rosy for too long and everyone is overcapitalized. And now that it's slowed down, they unfortunately have to make layoffs. But they're doing it in the right spots. They're not actually doing it in their go-to-market motion, which is so extremely important. You have to not double down on the broad kind of top of the funnel marketing, but really, as you mentioned, on focused marketing and really on the focus drivers, which is the conversions themselves and the stuff that works. And all of these law firms out there, and all of you probably on the call, it's not like you're starting out new. You just have to win new clients over and over and over. And more and more and more, you have a wealth of amazing existing clients, and you can focus on those to really drive some revenue around that as well. So there's a lot of strategies for it, but don't pull back, and especially not on your marketing and your BD.
Absolutely. I want to just confirm, I see in the chat before we go to the next, can everybody see my slides? Phil, can you see my slides? Emma?
I can see it.
Are you seeing my slides? Okay. Okay, great, fantastic. So let's go to the next, and let Emma know if you can't see the slides, but I think everybody can. So my takeaway from what you just said is it's just time to be smarter, not a time to pull back. And those people who invest smart really will come out of this soft, not only surviving, but thriving. That's what we're going to advocate for. And I think the data shows that if we really look at the difference between people.
And even it shows it
so let's get to
when you think about our own growth on how many law firms around the world are actually investing into technology and process and improvement exactly in that area. So
totally, 100%, yes. So to put that point very, very calmly, Nexl has been growing, and it's mostly because firms are investing in their marketing and business development stack, really, and looking to invest in that and get do more with less. Okay, so let's go to prove ROI to leadership, and specifically the CFO. As a marketer myself, I never like to be told that I can't spend something on money, and the CFO and I never really see eye to eye on many things. Even though I do like numbers, the CFO always sort of feels like it pulls back a little bit. But there's a way that I'm going to argue that marketers can actually show the CFO real returns in a very specific way, just by flipping a couple ideas in their head. So the first is, there was a panel at Marketing Partner Forum by Madhav Srinivasan. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct, Madhav, who is the CFO at Hunton Andrews Kurth. And he had a quote that I thought was really, really great, which was, for the near term, concentrate on what drives sustainable revenue. So he was speaking specifically to marketers and really to the marketing team at law firms, and really saying, for the near term, the best way to prove ROI to leadership is concentrate on what drives sustainable revenue. So what does that mean? We're going to get into it, but we're also going to sort of break down how you can show up and prove ROI to the leadership, because it's not always so easy. Anything here, Phil, that you want to talk about? You're a CEO, but from the CFO standpoint, does this resonate a little bit with you, with what Madhav is saying?
It really does. It needs to be sustainable revenue growth and more efficient revenue growth. There's expensive and there is kind of cheap revenue growth. And if you focus too much on the expensive side of thing, which obviously a lot of startups have done and tech companies, not great. And also law firms have done the same. They've always been doing the same things, spent money just because they have done it last year, the year before, or the last 5 years, but never really had rethought on what is the actual outcome and the ROI on some of these kind of expenditures what you have. And I think this is really important to just focus on those ones a little bit more.
Totally, exactly. So whenever I heard the talk, just to summarize, Madhav was really, when he said sustainable revenue growth, what he was really talking about is you can put a dollar value back to what you spent in. So if you put $1 in, you get 50 cents back. Or if you put $1 in, you get $2 back. By the way, if you get $2 back on the dollar you put in, you should put more dollars into it until it stops giving you dollars back. But that's what we're really talking about on sustainable. In some ways, being able to prove an ROI on the marketing spend that you put in. So let's.
And I think, Ben, there's one really important thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
To just clear up as well. Sorry for interrupting. There is. It's not always the cheapest ways of communication, the cheapest efforts you put through. Sometimes the actual most effective one are actually one of the most expensive one. But over long term, not even long term, but in the short term, they return the biggest value. So sometimes there's a lot of things that you can do which are quite affordable and cheap, basically, reaches a lot of people, but then the return is really, really low. And then sometimes there's the things which just take a little bit more effort, even time from partners within the firm, quite a lot of time, but the return of it is just incredible. And so you're not just allowed to look at the numbers on the outgoing of the specific activities. It's really on what's coming back in. Very, very
exactly. Important. So thank you. It's a blessing to work for a CEO that gets marketing, and that sometimes you have to put in a little more to get out, but absolutely, it's really about return. Some things cost $3, but in the end, they're the most expensive, but they might return $10, right? So that's really the first point that we want to make here. The first is just getting clear on what's a must-have versus a nice-to-have. Do you know today? This is a question for the audience, and a rhetorical question. Do you know what are your must-haves? Do you know what actually drives return on investment versus what are your nice-to-haves, those that are impossible to actually prove ROI? Now, not everything that can be measured matters, certainly, but in the near term and in a soft business environment, it really pays to understand what can I actually prove gets ROI versus what doesn't. I think that was a really big first kind of point. And I put it out to the audience here, which is, do you know, when you think about your return, your spend on your marketing, do you know what you can actually prove an ROI. And you might want to start making decisions on, well, what can I prove and what can I not prove? So that's the first point that I think I want to take away. Phil, anything on that before we go to the next point?
Yeah, and I think the other consideration is, okay, if we're not tracking much at all right now, it's very difficult to prove anything. What can you do to actually start getting to a point so you can start proving something? I think this is the really first step as well to kind of be able to do, which probably leads into this leading and lagging indicators anyway, to kind of figure out what can you actually track to help you kind of deliver this early kind of signal that you know you're going into the right direction.
Absolutely. Which gets us to the understanding your leading and lagging indicators. Okay, so if you're a CMO or a marketing leader at a law firm, you've kind of determined what's your must-haves versus your nice-to-haves in terms of here's the things that I can prove ROI, and here are the things that maybe I really can't prove ROI. The next I want to know is, am I going to understand with those must-haves? Do I know the leading and lagging indicators for those? How do I know that I'm going to get an ROI? Am I tracking those leading indicators that are ultimately going to prove my lagging indicators? And do I even know what are my leading lagging indicators? So maybe we can give a quick example on a leading versus a lagging indicator. And a simple one might be advertising. Advertising on LinkedIn. So I don't know if you have another one, but here's an example. Let's say you advertise on LinkedIn. You decided that that's a good ROI because if you put in $1, you get back 50 cents. A leading indicator there might be, for example, how many people have downloaded the piece of content that you're advertising. If you know that if you get to 50, this is a simple example, if you get to 50 downloads, 5% or 10% are going to turn into opportunities worth $10,000. There you have your leading and your lagging indicator, and you could come back to the CFO and say, hey, I want to invest in LinkedIn ads because I can show you and I can share the progress that we're going. So this might be an example. Then you turn around and you say, of those, so I know that on a week-to-week basis or a month-to-month basis, you might say, hey, this is how many downloads that we've had. This is how many of those downloads have turned into opportunities. And I know that at the end, 2 or 3 of those are going to, or 2 or 3 of those are going to return some amount of money. And here's the ROI on that. What do you think about that example? Is that fair? Better example, you think, of the difference between a leading and a lagging indicator?
Definitely. I think, obviously, with promoted content on LinkedIn, this is not something a lot of law firms do yet. This is something we really ask law firms to do a little bit more, because just waiting for organic traffic with LinkedIn is really hard, because LinkedIn is not this tool which everyone uses every single day. So reaching your right audience just by posting something is incredibly difficult. And it's not that expensive to just pay a little bit to reach the right people with your content. It's not an ad. Like, I want to sell my service. No, you've created a cool or great thought leadership piece, and you just want to get it in front of the right people. It's a promoted content. Great. But another idea would be around this lagging and the leading and the lagging indicators is your events, for example. A leading indicator is, first of all, how many show up, and then how many post follow-up conversations do you have after the event? It's really just these conversations. Like, it not just matters on how many people show up, but how many then serious conversations do you have after that event? And then how many opportunities create, and then which is a little bit more lagging, and how many what actually closes into revenue, which is obviously the last kind of indication, which everyone achieves to reach at the end. But this is, again, the lagging indicator that comes all the way at the end. But at the beginning, it would be how many people are actually interested in the content and the events, what we are creating, how many people show up, and then how many post follow-up conversations do we have? What's the engagement post event? And if that all trends up, that's a great leading indicator that there will be opportunities at the end.
Totally. And again, the point that we want to make here is this is how you can prove ROI to CFO and the leadership, because now you understand your leading and your lagging indicators, and you're coming to the table with this data, and you can sort of show this. That way, you can just show up, in the right way, but also even get more investment in the event that it's working and you can invest in it. Which gets us to our third point for this first main point, which is double down on sustainable, proven strategies. If something is working, that's the time that you want to double down on it rather than go to something else. And you always want to double down on proven, sustainable growth strategies, because to get back to our CFO's example, in the near term, concentrate on what drives sustainable revenue growth. So if you are able to prove it, you are able to come back to the table, get more budget, and actually double down on it. So that's kind of the upshot here, or the point of this, which is if you are tracking things, then that means that you can double down on them and you can actually prove the ROI to the CFO. Anything here, Phil?
No, with the doubling down, it's really also that focused on, if you think about, and sorry for saying this in marketing language, the top of the funnel, which is that your really broad messaging. Thanks, Ben, for teaching me all of this stuff. The middle of the funnel and the bottom things, which is the real one-on-one engagement already, your existing relationships, maybe already very, very deep, specific legal content where you know that if someone is interested in it, they have a problem, and where you can help them navigate, let's say, a regulatory change, whatever it is. Really focusing on that bottom part rather than on this large, big part at the top, which is quite expensive and doesn't return as much.
Totally. Yes, or another way of saying it, the higher you get in the funnel, the harder it is to prove ROI. That's not to say that those strategies are bad, but it just gets harder because it's not a one-to-one. It's further up the funnel. Which gets to our next point, focusing on conversions. So what are we talking about at conversions? So first of all, let's look at what's happening today, just generally with the type of demand creation marketing that we are doing. Now, let's define demand creation. Demand creation is very events focused, brand focused, very top of the funnel focus, content, regulatory updates, social posting, the kind of stuff that is all around driving awareness, which marketing teams are very good at, but ultimately are hard to prove, getting to the first point. Let's just look at some things. Everybody's favorite email. 50% of all emails are classified as spam. 47% of emails are disregarded based solely on their subject line, and less than 20% of marketing or more than 20, somewhere around 20% of marketing emails never make it to a subscriber's inbox. So that's just to say that one of the main channels is very difficult to drive conversions off of if more than 50-something% of them are classified as spam and 20% of them never even meet the mailbox. Another way of saying this, and I'll let Phil say this, which is when you do top of the funnel awareness type marketing, it's hard to prove an ROI, and even sometimes it doesn't even make a difference at all. Phil is going to tell this story, but the quote here is, "I get the same regulatory update from my 50 law firms. I don't read any." So Phil, do you want to talk a little bit about why regulatory updates are good, but they're not going to prove an ROI and they're not going to drive the conversions today?
Yeah, so obviously email marketing, this is something what a lot of people do because it's easy. I can push a button and I can reach 2,500 people, 20,000, 40,000 people. But it doesn't work anymore. And I have this saying where I love to say 10 years ago, your newsletter was a novelty. Today it's a commodity, and it really is. I spoke to many GCs in Fortune 500, and in this case, it was a Fortune 50 company. And he told me that he receives 50 plus emails every single time there's a regulatory change in his industry, and he literally does not read any of them. He just deletes them all. And the crazy thing is, he then followed up with, and not a single person actually picks up the phone and calls him. So all of the law firms sent them emails, automated, HTML, nice looking email with basically the same content of all of them 50 times, but not a single person has actually ever picked up the phone to call them.
Yeah.
And there's that real difference on focus on what works and drives conversion rather than what is just easy and, and get it out to many people. So
Absolutely. So again, we don't want to say stop sending regulatory updates. That's not what we're saying at all. What we're saying is that if you're going to drive conversions and if you are going to prove in a really good way ROI to the CFO, which in a tough environment, the CFO is going to want to know, regulatory updates and email is not going to get you there. And we're going to get into some of the strategies that we actually think, and that's going to be the next slide, some of the strategies that we believe are actually going to help you. So let's go to the main slide. And I think we've gone over them on this point around focusing on conversion. The first is that marketing teams are too focused today on demand creation and brand. Again, it's not that it's not important. It's just, are you overemphasizing in a soft business environment and creation, demand, brand? It's important, but the real question you have to ask yourself is, don't your GCs already know who you are? I don't think they need another content piece around there. What they do want to know is a little bit more bottom of the funnel, personal outreach for their problem specifically. We're going to get to that. The second is email and events create awareness. They don't drive conversions. Again, it's just a top of the funnel type of activity that drives awareness. But if you are under pressure to drive conversions, cannot expect that email and events are going to do that for you. And the last is to tie that back to our first point, by tracking conversions and getting focus and knowing those conversions, knowing your leading and lagging indicators, marketing can track marketing spend back to revenue and pipeline generated. And that's how you satisfy the CFO. That's how you really show up with clear ROI. And that's what's wanted in a recession. So we're going to get to that. Any last comments on this conversion, focusing on conversion and why that's important here, and switching the mindset a little bit from demand creation to demand capture?
100%. So if it's your third time of rebranding and recreating your homepage in the last 5 years, I think you're focusing on the wrong thing. And this is stuff that we're hearing though. Everyone has this brand refreshes to, overcome a soft market, a new homepage. It's not going to make a difference. Not many people really care about your homepage. Obviously, you want to have the right content on it. You want to showcase your lawyers and your capabilities so people can learn about you. But at the end of the day, you're not in a high traffic industry where you have hundreds of thousands of new visitors to your homepage every single day, which you need to kind of funnel through to convert. You're not in that game. So don't focus too much on that, but focus more on the actual demand capture, which is you send a marketing email, but then actually get someone one-on-one to actually follow up and ask if there was anything they can help them with to navigate this regulatory change, if there's any problems they can help with, and be a little bit more proactive in that sense and focus on relationships. Relationships are not built by automated emails. They're built between people on one-on-one communication. And your clients simply want to have the feeling that you understand their needs, you care about them, and you take some time out of your busy day to really kind of focus on that relationship with them. That really builds that trust and that conversion part. So everything you do around your events and marketing, just really focus on that one-on-one follow-up. And there's actually someone on the call who's been doing this. Wasn't a technical issue more so, where email marketing was just not really possible anymore within the firm, but has then gone into this really good practice to actually get all of the regulatory updates, any one of these updates and content pieces, thought leadership, actually from partners delivered one-on-one basis. And I think this is a really good practice. And now even if you invest in more email marketing solutions, still keep that. This is so important to focus on this one-on-one communication, email, phone, meetings. That's the stuff that works.
Yeah, cool. So we are going to last slide. I'm checking the chat actually with my new side phone. I'm attaching my phone to my computer now. But Emma, go ahead and stop me if there is any questions. Let's get to the third slide here. What growth strategies will marketing teams use in 2023? And here we got three main takeaways that we took away from NPF, but also that we are seeing through our Nexl clients. and really across the industry. So we're going to go through each one of them very quickly, and we're going to focus specifically a little bit on account-based marketing. And at the end, I'm going to show you where you can get a playbook, step-by-step playbook for how law firms can run account-based marketing, which we think is probably the most powerful strategy not being used by firms today to create opportunities, drive conversions, and create opportunities. Okay, so let's go through the 3 points. The first is coordinated collaboration across the firm. This one's for you, Phil. I know that this has come up in RFPs. This has come up in MPF. You want to talk a little bit about why it's so important to be one firm, hashtag one firm?
Yeah, it's so important to collaborate, but this is not only across the practice group, but it's really just also with your go-to-market teams, your business development marketing team. It's not possible to do and work in silos. Marketing can just go off and do the marketing thing, BD going off to the BD thing, and lawyer just do their own thing. This is just not effective. If everyone goes into different directions, it's very, very difficult to make this cohesive experience even work. And even if you think about a content piece, a thought leadership piece, just even before starting to write it, maybe there is some collaboration happening with BD and marketing to discuss on what is actually happening right now in the market, what is interesting, and who are we writing this for? Who is actually our target before you even start writing it? Then you write it, and then you get it in front of the right people and ask marketing to do so. Then marketing needs to, again, work with BD to then define on who actually has engaged with this kind of content and who can we follow up. And then BD needs to work with the lawyers to then actually make that follow-up happening. Like there's, even with such a simple motion, which is a regulatory update, there's a whole host of people involved with it that need to collaborate in a coordinated way to make it efficient enough and to actually get real return on investment. And then obviously sharing your clients across the practice group, I think, is such a no-brainer and should be such a no-brainer to just collaborate on your existing clients. They already know you, they already like you, they trust you, they buy from you already. Introducing them to other practice groups or international offices to kind of capture more of their demand, it's such a no-brainer and really something people need to focus on.
Absolutely. So that's great. So coordinated collaboration. And we know the struggles that law firms have gone through over the last 10, 15, 20, 30 years about really breaking down silos. Nexl is committed to this. This is part of our one firm movement, and we're trying to do our part by creating a platform that really makes it very simple to collaborate, both by helping with developing clients and showing clients, but also collaboration spaces that allow for everybody to collaborate as one firm. If you're interested in that, please be sure to reach out. Sorry, had to plug it. But coordinated collaboration is good. It's good for growth. It's good for clients. It's good actually for the firm as well. The second point is what we heard at MPF, sustainable growth. And again, that was one of our main things that the CFO wants to do. Drive sustainable growth. Things that you can prove an ROI. And one thing was better internal marketing. Now I know that that's not an actual client campaign, but think about it. And what we're talking about specifically is, does everybody at your law firm know what you're doing in the marketing department? Do they understand the campaigns? Do they understand the messaging? Does everybody at your firm really has everybody at the firm really drank the Kool-Aid and understands what's happening? I know it can be difficult, but internal marketing rather than external marketing can be one of the biggest drivers because people just don't know what they don't know. And I loved Ashley Horn, Chief Marketing Officer at Womble Bond Dickinson, said that alignment and getting people aligned isn't always about strategy. Sometimes people just need to get together and have fun. So what did she mean? So she was specifically talking to this idea of how do we get people all aligned and understand what's happening? And as she said, the truth is we had to put them in a room and let them discuss and get everybody together. So again, a rhetorical question for you is, I know we're entering a recession and many people are working remotely, but what are you doing to bring a lot of people together and allow them to just talk with one another about different things? It can be your partner retreat. It can be an online company-wide forum. don't scrape on that. I think that was a big thing. Internal marketing is incredibly important. And again, sometimes people just need to be in the same room and they just need to jive and get together with one another. So anyway, Phil, anything on
other ways you can drive? Really important. No, the internal marketing, I think, is such an important piece. We should focus on that a little bit more, because I've been now within the legal, tech, and innovation industry for like over a decade now. And one of the really important things what we've done around innovation was internal PR, basically, to make our lawyers believe that the firm is innovative and that we're doing great stuff, sharing any win stories what we have, any good story we could tell around a win, around an innovation piece, we shared. And what that did is it created a culture of innovation within the firm. And as soon as a piece was shared, that we said, hey, we increased efficiency by automating this, other practice group raised their hand, we have something similar, let's do that here too. And it really created this proactive culture of innovation. You can do the same thing with marketing and law firm growth, where you need to market your success story with the firm. If you do something for a particular practice group and a partner and you have some great results, share it with the entire firm. There will be people that reply and say, I want to do something similar. And that creates such a good culture as well to think about marketing in a better way, business development in a better way, that we are all in this boat together. And it really creates this proactive culture of doing things. So focus on internal marketing, market your capabilities internally, share your success stories internally, and you'll be very, very surprised in the outcome.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we're coming to the end here. Let's go to the last point here, just to summarize: coordinated collaboration across the firm. Are you collaborating? Everybody, are you collaborating? Are you doing? Is marketing and BD and lawyers, are they all working together? That's how you get the most out of each one of your marketing initiatives. Second, sustainable growth through better internal marketing. What are you marketing inside the firm as well as outside the firm? Not just to clients, but to your own lawyers, to your own team, so that everybody knows. And finally, we're going to come and talk about account-based marketing, which is reaching the people who count. How does marketing actually drive opportunities and drive conversions? We think that account-based marketing is probably one of the most underused strategies. And so let's break that down now and what we actually mean. Our favorite quote, and something that summarizes account-based marketing, is really shifting your mindset from don't count the people that you reach the people who count, by David Ogilvy, the father of modern advertising, great marketer, et cetera, and it really gets to the point here, which is it's all about reaching specific accounts. Does your marketing team know exactly who would make a huge dollar difference, revenue difference at the end of the day, and who is actually going after? And a good way to visualize this is the difference, contrasting it with traditional marketing. On the left, you see traditional marketing, where you put out a large message, a large mass market message, and then you allow people to kind of come to you through you get them to maybe download an ebook form, then you nurture them with some emails, and finally they might come to the bottom of the funnel where you kind of see that people have come to you. Now that's one strategy. It certainly can work, and it's very, very good for driving awareness. Absolutely. Account-based marketing flips that on its head and says, hey, instead of sending out a huge net, let's fish with a spear. So instead of fishing with a net, let's fish with a spear. Let's go after specific accounts, specific clients. Let's identify them. Let's create personalized campaigns. And then finally, let's turn those into referrals, opportunities, clients, and then eventually even referrals. Anything on account-based marketing that you wanna add here, Phil?
Yeah, it's really important for law firms to understand and in which marketing game they're actually playing in. And it's really important that you're not in this B2B mass marketing. You are in a smaller scale marketing. Because if you think about your top clients that generate 80% of your revenue, it's not that many. And there's not that many contacts within them you actually have to build relationships with. A great example is I spoke to a COO here in Australia, and we went through and said, who is your target or addressable market, the total addressable market in Australia that would come to your firm, top tier firm, a little bit more pricey. So what's the market? And he said it's roughly about 1,000 corporates and enterprises here in Australia. They have 100 partners, and the entire addressable market is 1,000. With 100 partners, that's only 10 each. That's 10 targets each for each of your partners. You can core your entire addressable market in a day or two. You're not in this mass marketing kind of business. You can do things more focused. And if you focus on who are your top clients, how can you expand them? Is there additional ways on how you kind of expand these relationships by collaborating with other practice group and cross-selling? Or who are the top clients you have right now, and who are some of the lookalikes within your market you're not working with right now, and only focus on 3 of them? You don't have to focus on 100. If you only win 1 out of those 3, if this is a top client right now, that generates huge amount of revenue. So don't go with big numbers. Focus on the ones that actually count, and do a real coordinated, collaborative approach to trying to reach them and get them into the door.
Yeah, we hope that everybody takes away one point here, which is account-based marketing in some ways really checks the boxes that we're talking about today. Account-based marketing is really a great conversion type campaign versus demand generation or traditional marketing, which is largely about awareness. So it checks that box in terms of, if we are in a soft market, we really need to focus on conversions, and account-based marketing is very good at driving conversions because it is focused and it's personalized. Second, it actually helps you prove ROI. Why? Because you can go to the CFO and say, out of the 1,000 corporates that we went after, we converted 10% of them for an ROI of $10 million. So we put in $1 million into marketing to these 1,000 corporates, and we got $10 million back. That's a great ROI. And the reason that you can do that is because you can track back the dollars to specific target companies specifically. So we hope that this is something that we're behind. We practice what we preach here at Nexl. We focus on account-based marketing as well, and we're advocating it for law firms. And we're not the only ones. Consultants, CMOs around the world are advocating for a more account-based approach. This is Jeffrey Barandi, who is at Barrett and Brunel, former CMO at law firms, talking about the results of an account-based approach. Guy Alvarez, a digital marketing consultant for law firms, again saying the power of account-based marketing and how well account-based marketing has been for the big 4 accounting firms. And again, we advocate this so much here at Nexl that we have created the ultimate guide to ABM for law firms, which you can get for free by going to nexl.cloud and just heading to that resource page that's just right on top there. You will find it under guides, and hopefully give it a read through. It will provide you with a step-by-step playbook on how to set up an account-based marketing approach, and then how to go through the steps of proving that and creating opportunities so that, again, you can drive conversions and prove worth back to the CFO, which is really what it's all about in a tight market today. Phil, we're coming to the end here. Anything that you want to wrap up with the guide, or just in general, anything what's your big takeaway here?
Big takeaway is really, I'm excited about what's going to happen over the next couple of years. Law firms are really focused on this to do better, which excites me a lot. Plus also, they are learning more about these new frameworks out there around account-based marketing. They are trying to collaborate a little bit more. They're starting with the mindset, they're putting in some process, and then at the end, they plug in a technology tool. And I hope that will be the one that can help them at that last piece here as well, not just with the first 2. But at the end of the day, we're all there to promote sustainable growth throughout the entire industry globally. And this is our small little, again, effort to get us there. This webinar, all of our webinars, what we do, and also kind of the guides, what we put out there.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we're coming to the end. Emma, I'm going to ask if there's any questions, but just as a reminder and just to echo what Phil said, we are entering into a softer business environment. CFOs are looking for return on investment. They're looking for provable return on investment. And the best way that marketers today can rise and return investment is by focusing on conversions, not the traditional demand creation, branding, really focusing on what is actually going to prove. And we advocate that ABM is one of the best strategies for doing that because you can show exact return on investment. These are the 1,000 companies we're going to go after, and this is how much we need, and let's see what comes out at the end. So go ahead, download the guide. It was fantastic to see everybody. Thanks to Lynn. Thank you for joining us. I don't see any questions here. So Emma, just real quick, anything here?
I don't believe so. As always, you guys managed to get ahead of it.
Thank you so much. Well, yes, absolutely. We will share the video of this webinar at the end. Thank you so much for the question at Hyperbrain. Yes, we will do that. And again, if you're interested in Nexl, simply go to nexl.cloud. Nexl was designed to power and help power ABM and a lot of your growth strategies. We'd love to talk to you about how we could help your law firms. So thank you so much again. And I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up.